What is up, everybody? Welcome into another great episode of More Important Issues. I'm ready to go. Hey, I know we can dwell on some negatives from the weekend, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to try to stay positive. It's been a good weekend overall. Hey, did you catch the last two episodes of The Juice?
So I didn't get to watch today's.
Okay, so I didn't even know there was a second, so I had to catch up. So I watched both today. Again, great stuff. It just gets I feel like I'm gonna be the next PR person for Tennessee. You're gonna see me, sunshine pumping stuff because I watched it and I was like, I just love this. I love Tennessee. It's just that simple. I love Tennessee.
Yeah, and anything with Inky Johnson's voice just makes you want to run through a wall. So,
and then I'll share. Did I send the video of the kid crying to the Fulkerson returning video?
No,
I didn't. So I cried today. I for the second time over John Fulkerson returning.
I was about to say I was that kid.
I know. I was like, I relate to this kid, and I'm 26 years old. But I'll send it to you. So I cried Friday, and then his parents posted the video sometime on Friday, Saturday, I don't know. And I cried again because the kid, dude, it's so sweet. The kid's like, he's coming back, and I'm gonna cry thinking about it. It's just like that's why I love Tennessee so much is that stuff. So we're going to talk about Tennessee's new basketball, new roster, except for Folky. But it's been a good weekend to be a Tennessee Vol. Again, obviously you never want to lose a series, especially to your in-state rival. But it was a fun baseball weekend. I've got my baseball shirt on. I hope you guys got it ordered. If you didn't, Landon might try to get you a third round. We'll see. Maybe before Omaha, there can be a third round. Yeah,
maybe we'll see how much we get. Because last time we had to do it again because so many people asked me, so I was like, I got to do it again. So if we get a lot of love from it, I might have to do a third round. But it was nice to see some of those shirts in the stadium.
I was about to say we need to sneak some down to the first baseline. A lot of ESPN cameras panning down to the Vol creatures. We need to see if we can get some down to there and get some exposure for in my opinion, the best baseball shirt.
Yeah, there you go. They buy some of ours, we buy some of theirs.
Exactly. Yeah, little helping each other out.
Exactly.
Can't wait. I'm excited to talk about this. I told you I've got a rant for the fandom that is Tennessee baseball because a lot of people are like, "Oh, Tennessee's just cheering for them now because they're good." Yeah, that's kind of how cheering for teams work, and I'll get into that. But I'm excited to talk baseball. We're gonna have Eric Cain on later, guys, from WNNL and Locked On Vols podcast to talk a little bit about spring practice. He's been around. He knows his stuff and getting some of his insight and seeing what he's thinking about what Josh Heupel's doing so far in the limited that he's been on campus. So excited to talk to Eric Cain about that.
Yeah, and former teammate of mine.
And for Newmanite, are you guys Newmanites?
I would say no. He might say yes. He might be a Newmanite.
We can ask him that.
Yeah. But yeah, I got a funny story to tell about Eric Cain when he gets on. So I'm super excited for that.
Excellent. Well, let's do it. We're going to jump into the show. Before we do that, though, Landon's going to tell you guys about all of our sponsors. Tell us where you're listening from, even if it's another country, preferably another country. We're big geography guys.
We want to learn more. Learning as we go. That's how we get better.
Exactly.
But, guys, go check out our sponsors, Tennessee Tap House, Hound Dogs, and Blue Water Climate Control. Here is a quick word from our good friends at Blue Water Climate Control.
People always ask, where did we get the name Blue Water Climate Control? When a Navy ship casts off lines, exits the harbor, and loses sight of land, that's blue water sailing. It takes a team of people to do that. Tireless work, focus, and attention to detail. So much of starting a business is just like that. After it's done, you get filled with deep satisfaction for accomplishing something. And it's quickly followed by, now the real work begins. We're Blue Water Climate Control.
All right, guys. I'll see you guys on the other side. I'm excited to talk about this baseball series. And big rant. Let's get it.
Balls are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne.
I think I got my swagger back. Oh.
I love it, baby.
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee to 1 Jennings. can catch it.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now.
I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit dit to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Sunday, April 18th. I'm excited to talk about Tennessee baseball. I'm always excited to talk about Tennessee baseball. We've always been a big Tony Vitello podcast, always been a big Tennessee baseball podcast.
Ross
and,
Tibbett,
Ross,
Chad
of course. And it's a great time to be a Tennessee ball. Oh, well, first off, for me, it always is, even when it's sad. But this baseball program is heading in the right direction. Hey, let's talk about that too, because a lot of people, whether you follow baseball passionately, if you're just starting to get into it because Tennessee is heading in the right direction, it's you never want to see your team lose a series ever. It sucks, but you weren't going to go undefeated. You weren't going to beat all the top teams on your way to the, on your ascent. So this is just kind of part of the process. It happens. The fact is Tennessee did beat, I guess, the number 2 team in the nation now after they lost to Georgia last weekend in the series. They at least got them once. You had to do it to prove it. You had to do it at least once. They did at least once. Obviously, again, you never want to lose this series. And we're going to talk about some of the things because today Tennessee had their chances and just kind of shot them. I mean, Vanderbilt, they did take advantage too of Conor Pavaloni being out and maybe some, maybe not. They took advantage in their base running of Tennessee maybe having to rely on some different things. So credit to Vanderbilt. But Tennessee also made some mistakes along the way that could have helped them win that series. Yeah,
I mean, they came up a little short, but I couldn't help to be excited about this program because if you look on paper, you look at Vanderbilt's roster, they probably have 8 to 10 first-round draft picks on their roster. You look at Tennessee's, they might have 1 or 2.
Are you sure about that? Because ESPN didn't mention that at all this weekend.
I didn't know. I was there, so I didn't. I guess I was fortunate enough to not watch the ESPN broadcast. So
I only listened to ESPN's broadcast today, and whoever was with Bob Kesling was just every chance he got mentioning how many guys are going to get drafted, how many guys chose to come play for Tim Corbin rather than going to the draft.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, when you look on paper, Vanderbilt should beat Tennessee. And the fact that Tennessee competed with them all weekend, I think is really something to see. And I think it's only kind of scratching the surface where this Tennessee program can be. Because, if you're going to get recruits that you've probably never really gotten before, you're going to get guys that, see this passionate fan base, see their coach fighting for them like Tony Vitello did on Friday night. And, I think, sky's the limit for this baseball program. So Vanderbilt better watch out.
For sure. And Vanderbilt, you mentioned not just the guys that they have on their roster, their ability to go and get guys because they can recruit. The landscape for their recruiting is different. They're not just limited, which Tennessee's not technically just limited in the same way you want to say to Vanderbilt is to that 11.5 number or 11.7. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Something like that. Something weird for baseball scholarships. Vanderbilt has the ability because of the way their tuition's set up a lot more. That's another. That's just they get lucky that the way they're able to set up their tuition and that at least they use it. I don't know why. I feel like they could use it for more sports, but at least they're using it for one sport. But Vanderbilt's a good baseball program coming off of, I guess, are they technically the defending national champions still?
Yeah, I guess.
Or is COVID the defending national champion?
Yeah, I guess COVID's always going to be the defending national championship. And there's people out there that want COVID to still be there.
Tim Corbin might want COVID to still be there.
Yeah. And I look at that, as, maybe he was kind of poking at Tennessee a little bit, but maybe he just wants more. He wants his atmosphere to be like that too.
Oh, I think that's definitely part of it. It is funny. I just, it's hilarious. I think he was just taking a jab.
Yeah.
That actually kind of dawned on me. We were talking about how it's cool to see this team taking on the mindset of their coach and kind of how the fan base has now done that. I think that's why Tennessee fans like guys like Lane Kiffin and Tony Vitello and Bruce Pearl so much, because like they want a guy that they can root for hard, that they kind of identify with, that like trash talker that, got a little bit of swag to him.
They relate to him.
And it's easier to cheer for those guys too. Like if you're just being honest,
right?
Because there's personality there, and so I think Tony Vitello has kind of got that level to him. He's not so much the trash talker like Lane Kiffin, but like the comment he had on Saturday night about Evan Russell's grand slam. He was like, he kind of just hit the ball up in the air, and the fans blew it out with how electric the crowd is. Like that kind of comment. He did not have to make that. He's like, I know what's going to get them riled up, and did it. And it got fans riled up. And which, I mean, he was right. The grand slam video. First off, guys, if you haven't watched it on Vol Baseball Instagram, Landon knew it was out, I think, immediately. He immediately grabs the railing in front of him and is like,
yeah. So my dad, when he comes up to bat, my dad's like, if he hits this one out, I'm gonna pee on myself.
Did he?
And then like after he played, he's like, I peed a little.
I don't know if he had time to. Like it was early in the at bat. Like right. I don't know if he had time to the bladder build up. But yeah, that was I mean, I don't know how. I guess we're going to kind of jump around. We always kind of do when we talk about the series. But I mean, just a great weekend of baseball again. Tennessee. I mean, we can't forget that 2 years ago Tennessee wasn't even playing in the SEC tournament.
Oh yeah.
So like, I mean, like we can't.
I mean,
I guess 3 years ago now.
Vanderbilt put that. So Parker Nolan, their second baseman, is from Farragut.
Yeah.
But this kid committed in 2018. Tennessee didn't make the SEC tournament until 2019. So like, right. If you have an offer from Tennessee or Vanderbilt, yeah, you probably should have went to Tennessee in 2018. But I think that's probably going to change a little bit. Obviously, Vanderbilt. I mean, they're the Alabama. I said it this week. They're the Alabama of college baseball. They get the top recruiting classes year in and year out. So if you're able to compete with them right now, when you don't have the same kind of talent that they have, I think it's something to hang your hat on and something to be excited about for the future of Tennessee baseball.
Yeah, and then I mean, you obviously again don't want to lose a series to them, but like I mean, you showed you can play with them now. It's like you're hoping you get to see that team in postseason, because if more than likely if you see that, if you're Tennessee the way you've been playing this year and you see that team in the postseason, you're probably playing in a pretty meaningful game.
Yeah, you'd rather lose now than then.
Yeah, and so hopefully things can change. And I think I mean today alone, which you said a guy was telling you Tennessee just got killed. I mean, yeah, if you want to look at the final score, and I mean even like the last probably 3 innings or so, Tennessee outside of Jackson Greer solo home run, Tennessee did kind of get beat down pretty good. But they also, we mentioned it early in the show, I mean they had chances to end the innings that got away from them. They all happened after 2 outs, and credit to Vanderbilt and what's his name, the dude that is a great base runner, and
Bradfield.
Right, yeah, just took advantage of Pavaloni being out, and that's not a knock on Jackson Greer. I mean, that's he hadn't played a lot this year. I think just in one other game.
Yeah, he's played a couple in some midweek games, but not a lot in SEC play. It's kind of been just Conor Pavaloni been this catcher at that point. Yeah, I mean, for him to get his first home run as a Tennessee Vol, growing up a Tennessee fan, I think that's huge. And you mentioned kind of Enrique Bradfield. I mean, he's probably the fastest player in college baseball. Right. You might as well just give him third base if he's on base, because that's where he's going, or at least second. And I think we made it kind of tough on him to swap third a couple of times, but he just disrupts everything, and I think he's going to be a first-round draft pick at some point. Carter Young, he's another one that's probably going to be a first-round draft pick, in his career. Parker Nolan is a guy that kid can hit it. I mean, that one to dead center today was, that's a major league bomb. And they just, besides Bradfield, everybody in their lineup can go yard at any moment. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what kind of separates them from everybody else in the country, is they have that ability. And then they also have 2 of the best pitchers in college baseball. It probably doesn't hurt either.
Right. I mean, that's what the thing too, is you're staring down to start that series Friday and Saturday night. And you're knowing, I mean, if you're going to win those games, you're going to have to really, really try to disrupt early on. Cause if you let, Rocker and Leiter get in grooves, and Rocker certainly did, that's just even more of an uphill battle to climb for Tennessee. Saturday night, though, you were able to, Leiter played well, but you were at least able to get him off the mound, which was a positive, and eventually led to Tennessee getting out in front.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird that they pitched Leiter on Saturday because, you see Rocker, and he's like he's a legit defensive lineman that can throw 98 miles an hour. So I mean, it's coming 97, 98, but he's releasing from the grass. So it's on you at 104 is probably what it feels like in the box. So, and then you go 6'6" Rocker, 6'5", and then you go Leiter, who's 6'1", 6'2". So I mean, it's a huge difference, just that intimidation factor. So I think Tennessee was just excited to see somebody else on the mound besides Rocker, and they made the most of some of his misses, especially Evan Russell. But yeah, I mean, Rocker shoved it, and he had an off game against Georgia. A guy that good, you're not going to get 2 off days in a row or 2 off starts in a row from him. So I think Tennessee barreled up some baseballs on Friday night. They were just hit right to somebody. They had some
and you mentioned that I think people were kind of getting down on it, and it was Tennessee, they hit a couple good balls that just didn't have enough. Back to the warning track, just barely close, coming off not quite the sweet spot. So I mean, it wasn't like Tennessee was just going down swinging the whole time. They had a couple chances that just weren't quite enough. People are you think the moment's too big for them on Friday night for the first loss of the series to one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country? I'm no, I thought they played in the game. I mean, they were there. They didn't get slaughtered on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, Kamar Rocker had 8 strikeouts. He's averaging over 10 a game. Right. So I mean, that's something you can hang your hat on. And then Chad Dallas, he pitched good enough to win. He had 7 strikeouts in 7 innings, and Rocker had 8 through 7. So the difference was, they were able to get some over the fence, and Tennessee was a couple of feet from doing that as well. So, you're a couple of feet from a totally different ball game on Friday night, and just weren't able to, get it done. Maybe they spend some more time in the weight room this week and, get some of that, get some curls in and get some of that power. And, because morning track power, that's an insult. So you don't like that. And, maybe somebody said that to Evan Russell, and he took it to heart on Saturday and Sunday.
He put one in the freaking parking lot, so he definitely took something to heart.
Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Evan Russell, I mean, 3 home runs on Saturday, 1 today, and the kid's a walk-on, and he didn't even start. They started Kyle Booker instead of him on Friday, and they put him in. I think maybe the 3rd time around the lineup that they put Evan Russell back in, and he made the most of it. He hit one on Friday night. He was one of those guys that hit one to the warning track and was caught. So yeah, just making the most of his opportunities. Tennessee, continues to be scrappy, and if you give them a little breathing room, like they did on Saturday when they walked 3 straight batters to load the bases, and then you have a guy that's already hit 2 home runs in the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's seeing the ball at that point.
In his press conference after the game, Evan Russell was like, I thought they were gonna, if they would have got Pavaloni out, which Pavaloni took one off the hand. That kind of sucks to see him out, but it looks like it's not going to be that bad. It looks like he's day to day as of now. But yeah, Evan Russell he was like, I thought they were going to walk me, and then they load the bases. They didn't have anywhere to put me, so they had to pitch to me, and he made them pay for it.
Well, and that's another thing too that Tennessee's just done really well. And we've kind of alluded to it, and it showed this week against a team like Vanderbilt, who has a phenomenal bullpen. That's definitely not lack of pitching. Those guys can throw strikes. Tennessee's ability to get on base, whether it be walking or just grinding it out, that obviously still got to work on getting some guys home. You saw that today, but their ability to get on base has been great this year, and it showed against this Vanderbilt team.
Yeah, and today you come up short, but you like you said, you had some opportunities. You had the bases loaded. They score the first run of the game, and then you come right back and hit 2 back-to-back home runs.
That's another thing that pissed me off about Bob Kessling, Tennessee guy. I mean, both of those home runs were freaking electric. Both no doubters. I mean, not even close. And it's just and they hit a home run. And then they hit a back-to-back one, and it's just and they hit another home run. No, they just hit 2 bombs off him.
Yeah. Right
in a row. No doubters. These weren't just back to the wall. One was on the top of the freaking scoreboard. It's can we get a little bit more energy about this?
Yeah,
The Vol creatures are about to tear down the freaking foul ball net, and Bob Kessel's up there ready to take a nap.
Yeah, where's John Wilkerson? Let's get him on it.
His grand slam call was phenomenal.
It's awesome.
Phenomenal.
But yeah, I mean, like you're up 2-1, and you have the bases loaded, and then Jake Rucker smokes one up the middle, and the pitcher just kind of flinches his glove, and it goes right to him. I mean, that's 2 runs right there. That you're going to be leading the game at that point, and just didn't go Tennessee's way. A lot of ground balls didn't. A lot of barreled up baseballs didn't. Poor Drew Gilbert. I mean, he's like 0 for 25 his last at bats, but he made some. He had some long at bats, and he barreled some up, but he smoked one to right field, I think Friday night, and it was the right fielder didn't even move. Like he just had his glove up and just
You mentioned Tennessee like that. The one with the right back to the pitcher almost took his head. It almost took his head off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that on the reverse side of that, Vanderbilt had a lot of really good hits that were a couple inches away from being really good defensive plays. The first one that pops to head is Liam Spence makes a great diving play to his right, and the ball just barely pops out of the glove. He would have had a slim chance. It would have been a tough throw, but would have had a chance to get the guy out at first. Mm-hmm. And then just pops out of his glove, and then. Even on a couple, tags that were close, that Vanderbilt just made good plays, and Tennessee was just a little off, a little short, whatever it was that time. It's definitely a lot of close plays. I think it just showed this series definitely showed that Vanderbilt has a better team, but it also showed that Tennessee can play with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tennessee had 4 errors in the series. They had 3 on Friday night that were huge errors. They had 1 on Saturday that the inning is over.
Yeah,
and then they put another runner on, and they hit a 3-run home run with 2 outs. So I mean that was huge in that game. If Tennessee would have lost that game, I mean that would probably been the reasoning behind it.
Yeah,
and so Tennessee didn't play a clean series by any means, and so for them to continue to compete with a team like Vanderbilt, who I think is the best team in the country. I mean, I know Arkansas is ranked number 1, but until we play Arkansas later on down the road, mm-hmm. and maybe I'll change my mind. But looking at that Vanderbilt lineup and their pitching rotation, I just think it'd be tough to beat them, and especially in a series. Maybe you get one game from them. But in a 3-game series, I think they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I'm going to kind of throw this. I think it's probably a difficult question because I'm going to make you pick one single thing. Because there's obviously a lot of things Tennessee can fix, and I hate to look ahead. I mean, not only are we looking ahead from A&M, we're also looking ahead from every other and Tennessee Tech and every other SEC team. If Tennessee had, Tennessee playing Vanderbilt SEC tournament, whatever their next chance would be to play them, playing Vanderbilt. What is one thing, the biggest thing, needs to be fixed for Tennessee to win? I mean, you saw them win on Saturday, which is good. So what was it just hitting? What does Tennessee need to fix? We talked about them being just 3 times in the series where you had 2 outs and Vanderbilt was able to score several runs. So what is it, the one thing that Tennessee needs to do to be better, at least on, a night than Vanderbilt?
I'm going to say you can't have – I think you have to play a clean baseball game. I don't think you can have the errors Tennessee did. They had 3 on Friday night. One I think was with 2 outs. You're out of that inning. And, one is hit back to the shortstop, and it hits right off his foot, goes into right field, and they score 2 runs out of it. So, that was just kind of – and then I think another one they tried to throw Bradfield out at third, and it gets by him. He scores. I think that was on Saturday. Maybe no, that was on Friday night too. So yeah, just errors for me, and I think a lot of that comes with getting healthy. Conor Pavaloni, you want to have him back. He seems like he's hitting the ball a lot better. He hit one yesterday as well to kind of get Tennessee going, and also Liam Spence. He went back at shortstop today, but it has been Logan Steenstra who Steenstra's been hitting the ball well, but he's been kind of error prone. So you want to have that for sure, shortstop in the middle like Liam Spence, and I think that kind of sharpens things up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree, and hopefully Tennessee can kind of get back to a cleaner game. Not that A&M's A&M is an SEC baseball team, but they're not the program that Vanderbilt is, or even Florida is. Like you have another chance to go in and be the better team straight up and go beat. So hopefully kind of just get back in the groove. Good rebound series. I hate to skip Tennessee Tech on you guys, but it's a midweek game. You're not even really going to play your true lineup. So sorry for skipping them. Hopefully I didn't offend any Golden Eagles here that are listening. But I'm looking forward to Tennessee or A&M, excuse me, as far as getting back into that groove. Obviously, you never want to drop a series, so go get another series win. You're 10-5 now in SEC play, so that's just one game back from Vanderbilt, where you did tie it up with them after their loss to Georgia. So nothing, you're not off the pace. You're not off pace yet, so it's no big deal. Get back on it.
Yeah, and obviously, the coming up schedule isn't easy by any means, because when you're playing the SEC, no series is easy. But you're not going against Texas A&M. I think they're 4 series. They play 4 of the top 6 teams in the country. They played Arkansas this week. They play Tennessee next week, and I think Mississippi State and Ole Miss is their next 4 series. So I think you got a little bit of kind of breathing room a little bit. But got to take advantage of those series that you should win. And
right.
I do want to mention a guy like Will Heflin. I mean, he's surprised the heck out of me on Saturday, because when you're facing a guy like Lauder, you want to be able to keep them off the board as well. And, after losing that game on Friday, Saturday's a must win.
Right.
You don't want to look at it that way going into it, but, it is. And, Will Heflin, I think Tennessee's lost 2 Friday night games, and Will Heflin has come back and won both of those games. I don't think he ended up getting the win. I think Sean Hunley actually got the win, but him going 7 innings strong when, in previous games, it's kind of like get us through 4 or 5 and we'll go to the bullpen. But he went 7 strong, only giving up 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts. Jack Lauder he had 3 earned runs. So I'm not saying Will Heflin's better than Jack Lauder, but I mean, heck of a job from him.
Right.
I just kind of want to mention him a little bit too.
No, yeah, he definitely played great. Let's jump into the fan side of this, because I've got my rant, but also Tony Vitello mentioned just another great weekend of Rocky Top showing what this fan base has. And I think and he's stated it, it's important to know that this fan base has always been this fan base. Like fall baseball is just bringing it alive. Like that, like bringing, because you see it in basketball with the recent success. In 2000, I mean, you've had players that have played in some phenomenal stadiums back, in 2015 and 2016 that are like Neyland Stadium is the loudest stadium I've ever played in. So It's not like this isn't new. Like this isn't, the fall baseball angle of it is new, because you haven't put a product since 2005 worthy of cheering for out there. Like that, it's just not like, sure, is the stadium been undervalued all the time in terms of like what the athletic department's put into it? Yes. But it's at the same time, it's like they haven't had a reason to yet. Now I know like you got what comes first, chicken or egg. Like I know some of that needs to, if you want to go out and recruit, you should have had the facilities before. If you wanted to get a quality coach, should have had the facilities before. Like you kind of got lucky getting Vitello before all that, but you have them now. You need to be investing in that stuff. The fans will show up if you put a good product on the field. Bruce Pearl is a great example of that at Tennessee when he arrived. He did it very similar to Vitello. Vitello's not out there, standing on the cafeteria tables or anything, but kind of the same thing. Like, hey, this team has talent. This team has attitude. We want you all. We won't be anything without you all. So we need you to show up, kind of deal. And they're showing up. Like the fans are showing up at Lindsey Nelson. It's a great atmosphere. It's going to be one of in this year in the SEC, because I mean, how many schools are going like Mississippi State and Ole Miss? Is it just those 2 schools? I don't think I've seen another full stadium.
Yeah. It's not Vanderbilt.
It's not Vanderbilt. And Tennessee was damn near full this weekend. They might have fudged those percentages a little bit. They were like, leave 1 empty seat between everybody and we'll call it good.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it.
No, not mad at all. It's just like the people are showing up, and it's just hilarious to see all the people from other SEC fan bases, from Vanderbilt, like Tennessee's bandwagon. Okay, first off, nobody's gonna get on a Tennessee bandwagon. That doesn't even make sense. That's an oxymoron, because Tennessee hasn't won anything significant lately. No one bandwagons losing teams. Tennessee baseball, listen, big Tennessee baseball fan, big direction. Like, I love the direction Tony Vitello's taken the program, but they haven't won anything significant yet. And you've already got the environment in Lindsey Nelson. That's not bandwagon fans. That's fans.
And even at limited capacity, I've been going to games since Chris Burke was at Tennessee. And now he's with ESPN. You know, I've been going to games for a long time. I've never seen that many people in the stadium. And that's not saying like, you know, we're over capacity. We're still at technically limited capacity, but you've never had a game of that significance and, you know, a good product on the field where people want to come in and pack a stadium like that. Right. I'm sure they turned away a lot of people yesterday.
Chris Burke, I actually listened to him on a podcast, the 11.7 podcast this week. Phenomenal stuff. I'm glad you mentioned that. But also, he was there before the College World Series run.
Yeah.
It's like even then, but like this, so this fan base is coming alive, and it has nothing to do with bandwagon. Like, that's not it. Again, I think it helps having Tony Vitello's attitude. Like, even if Tony Vitello was doing a great job like this and he didn't have that kind of swagger, it would be, I think, harder to at least get the type of, like, are people showing up in the stadium? Maybe. Are they getting rowdy like they are? Probably not.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is just kind of it's like college baseball as a whole has grown significantly in the past couple of years. Just with exposure, you have people actually covering it nowadays, and I think the product is a lot better because you're having guys. You know, it's kind of been that, like, you know, real good players are going to go to the draft. Well, that's not true anymore. Guys aren't going to go straight out of high school to the pros like they have in the past. You know, they want to come to a Vanderbilt, a Tennessee, a Florida, you know, teams like that to get ready for the major leagues. So they can come in and develop for 3 years and then go to the major leagues and not get lost in the fold like some of those guys out of high school. So I think it's becoming a lot better product on the field. And, you know, that's what got people's attention, I guess. You know, it's becoming more of a common thing. It's on TV and stuff like that now.
Yeah.
And now Tennessee has a really good team, and that just, you know, ignites that flame.
Yeah, it's definitely that perfect storm. And then, as always, we've done it every episode. We've talked about Tennessee baseball. Shout out to the legends of Lindsey Nelson. They've also been a big part of like that growing culture there right now. They're bringing a lot to the table. That I mean, in any college sport, if you want it to be a great atmosphere, the students have to come. Like that's part of it. It's never going to happen with just the parents of the players there and then some fans from town. Like, could it be a good atmosphere with them? Sure. But it's never going to be the best atmosphere. You need that chirping. You need the shirts off and waving. And like that's what you need for that kind of environment to be there. And so the students showing up are a big part. And the students are showing up. I mean, they pretty much dedicated the entire first baseline to the students now. They're
a little bit late getting there on Saturday. I think that they got a little tired on Friday night, and you know we're a little bit they had to keep drinking. You know, I don't know if they stopped drinking for a little bit and they're kind of slow to get up and things like that. But yeah, I mean that was the greatest moment I think in Tennessee athletics. You know, we tweeted it out for More Important Issues today. What do you think was the greatest moment since then? And a lot of people said the Hail Mary against Georgia. That was the top answer.
That it's got to be close. I mean, Hail Mary happened in 15.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could maybe argue 16. Sorry, 16. Yeah, there's nothing since then. I mean, Tennessee's not won anything since the Hail Mary.
Right. Yeah. No.
That's
another reason.
I'll take that back. There's been some big basketball moments.
Yeah.
Kentucky, Lamonte, Kentucky 3-pointer in 18, 19.
Yeah.
SEC tournament. That one's obviously big. Yeah, so there's been a handful of big basketball moments. But yeah, no, unfortunately not a ton to cheer for.
Right. And a guy like, you know, Evan Russell just like doing something that no player's ever done at Tennessee, and that's hit 3 home runs in 2 different games in a season.
Right.
Or ever. You know, no player has ever done that before. So I think that's really cool. And I'm not sure on the oldest guy, but 3 of the 4 have been from the state of Tennessee.
3 of the 4, and wait, say that again.
That have hit 3 home runs in a
game.
So Cody Hahn, Todd Helton, and then Evan Russell. I'm not sure about. There's another guy too that I didn't. It wasn't very recent, so I don't know if he is or not. But
okay. So, hey, that's the formula. Go get the in-state guys.
Yeah,
Get the in-state guys. Tennessee's big baseball. Like I think we talked about that. Knoxville's kind of under the radar too, as far as a baseball town. But I mean, you talked about some of the guys coming. I mean. Parker Noland at Vanderbilt right now, very good product. It's a great example.
Yeah, how do you not, if you're a national, like if you're with the NCAA, how do you not see that atmosphere this weekend and just be like, okay, they have to have a regional?
I mean, you say that, and I agree with you, but that means you're banking on the NCAA making a good decision. So that's pretty bold of you to do.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Overall. You hate that you don't get the win, but man, it was a lot of fun to be a part of. That atmosphere. Even on Friday, you lost, but still, like it was. Yeah. Tony Vitello mentioned it after Saturday. He was like, we've had some loud crowds at times, but he was like, you felt it,
right?
In those 2 Friday and Saturday. I wasn't there today, so I'm sure it was the exact same way, especially with the rubber match today. So. Props to the fan base. I think they're the best in the world. I might be a little biased, but I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent fans. Hopefully we can get back to that Neyland Stadium. Are you ready to talk some football?
Yeah, let's get him in here.
Excellent. Let's do it. We've got Eric Cain on. He's from producer at WNML and now the host of Locked On Vols. Eric, how are you doing tonight, man?
Hey guys, doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. We always appreciate it.
Absolutely, Eric. Former teammate. I want to share a story with you. I don't know if you know this or not, but you are actually the second guy I met on campus my freshman year. So
how's that?
So I moved there in July, and I lived with Andy Hibbett for that summer. So Andy is like, the first day I met him, he was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna go drive around campus. You want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I've literally nothing else to do." So yeah, so we go to this kind of it was a little rough looking house. It was kind of like a house you see in the fort, and it was yellow. And he's like, "Yeah, this is the yellow house." I was like, "Okay, who lives here?" I was like, "What are we about to get into?" And we walk in, and there's Eric Cain sitting on the couch, and he was the second guy I met on campus. So I thought that was – I don't know if you knew that or not, but yeah, you're actually the second guy I met.
Well, as you know, there's a lot of things that went down in that house. So me remembering that story, don't remember it. But I can vouch, man, for a brand new freshman coming in that summer to creep up on that house, and it's a little intimidating, I'm sure. So that's a good story, though, man, for sure.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's talk some Tennessee football. Eric, you get to see practice. You don't get to see a lot of it, but the stuff you do see, what's kind of standing out to you? Just the overall kind of feeling around this program right now.
Well, yeah, we go a couple times a week, and see just a couple periods of practice. And I mean, you guys know this by now. We say it enough. We see the same things that we see every single practice, like periods like 2 through 4, which is an individual period. They do the same drills. They're the same part of the field the entire time. So we don't get to see a whole lot, but it looks like the team is kind of buying into coaching. I mean, they're running around everywhere. They are the tempo in practice, not talking about the offense, but just the tempo and the how you're going about getting work done is at an accelerated level. The coaches are very animated, always are, trying to get the most out of the players. But it's been fun to see so far. It's interesting to see some of the players, who are growing and getting better, over the couple of years. The story, one of the stories of spring practice so far has been kind of an offensive lineman that was a former walk-on turned scholarship player in Dane Davis. I was at practice a couple of weeks ago, and I saw him for the first time. And I'm like, who is this guy? Because we weren't at practice last year at all. And then I look at my roster and I see this name. I'm like, who is this guy? And I learn more about him and seeing him get better and better just over the couple of practices that I've been, and seeing that open practice in Neyland a couple of weeks ago. So just stuff like that. And of course, the quarterbacks, seeing which ones are repping with the ones on days where we're there, which ones are having a good day throwing the football. And it's hard to see an awful lot when you're there, but just little things like that's kind of fun to jot down and talk about.
Well, you knew too that we were going to ask you about quarterbacks, and we know you don't see enough. But I was going to actually try to stay away from it, but I saw a quote today from Josh Heupel, so I'm going to ask. I have to. He said, and I guess probably means the whole quarterback room, because I'd say it's pretty hard to gauge just one quarterback. Not seeing a ton from Brian Maurer last year or Harrison Bailey, and then having a couple new quarterbacks on campus. But he said they're light years ahead of where they were at when they came here. With what you've seen, like at least individual periods, you're getting to see them throw the ball around a little bit. Maybe. I mean, could you say that? Could you agree with that? Or are you like, maybe he's just talking them up?
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree with that because, again, I don't see enough.
Right.
He sees, obviously, everything, and talks with these guys. So from what I see when I'm at practice, I wouldn't go that far. From what I saw at the open practice last weekend, I wouldn't say that as well. I don't know if you guys were there or not. To be completely honest, I didn't walk away impressed with any quarterback that day. Thought Harrison Bailey was literally just a guy there. Thought Hendon Hooker was very anticlimactic. Thought Brian Maurer made some plays and then made some plays for the defense as well. And so I didn't think that open practice was a good showing for all those guys. But nonetheless, seeing them go through some of the mesh point drills with the running backs, seeing them go through some of the pocket awareness drills by themselves and making the right decision. I saw them throwing routes on air with wide receivers the other day, but the wide receiver was reading, a GA or a coach and making a read off that on deciphering which route to run, and just seeing the quarterbacks and the receivers on the same page doing a simple drill like that, I think shows me that they have grown and stuff in this offense. And it does help when you have guys like Velus Jones Jr. and Jimmy Callaway and even Anderson Kobe, a newcomer, that have kind of latched onto this offense and doing really, really well, kind of helping the quarterbacks out as well. So I would very much imagine that these quarterbacks are well on their way and kind of growing in this offense. The more you do it, the more you rep it, because none of these guys, had this offense before. None of these guys knew any of these coaches before. And just the more and more you learn and spend time together, then the more the pressure kind of takes off, you feel more comfortable, and then your true ability can start to shine. And I mean, all three of these quarterbacks have a lot of ability. And so I think it's just a matter of knowing more and more, getting that confidence, and then letting that ability shine.
So with that, not really seeing a lot of it, not really being impressed. If, you had a gun to your head and somebody's like, predict who the quarterback is going to be next year, who would you roll with? Not saying maybe who Josh Heupel would roll with, but who would you roll with?
I'd probably roll with Hendon Hooker. I think that's been kind of a consistent answer. He's got a strong arm. I've seen it. He can make the deep throws. I've seen it in practice. He's got a good release. He's experienced. He's played a whole lot of football. I think the guys like him around there. So I think that's a safe and an easy answer. And sometimes that is the correct answer. I think Brian Maurer has the most ability of anybody on the roster. But I think that could be the case the last couple of seasons. It's just, with Maurer, it's can you consistently make the right decision? Can you consistently protect the football? And can you deal with all the pre-snap adjustments you got to do? Because you go line up, you got to read the coverages, you got to send guys in motion and all that stuff. Can you deal with everything, before the whistle as well? And so, and the more you get reps, the more and better you get at over time. And so maybe Brian Maurer can, but with the inconsistencies of Brian Maurer, even in spring that I've seen, I wouldn't be confident to roll him out there just starting quarterback. And so, if I had gun to my head, I would probably say Hendon Hooker, because he's been there, done that, and I think he's very capable of running this offense. But if history is any indicator here at Tennessee, I think that you're going to have multiple quarterbacks at some point during the season. But hopefully,
that's not what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. And again, Caden Salter's not practiced yet. He will. I mean, I anticipate those guys being welcomed back on the team at some point. And I don't think he'll be a starter, but especially not early on. But, get Caden Salter in there on the ropes and let him learn and let him soak up the knowledge. And, maybe, weeks and weeks and weeks down the road, you can see a little bit of Caden Salter. It was really not beneficial for him to obviously have the incident that he had, but just not being able to get out there and learn and kind of get a feel of the game speed, because as we know at Landon, it's completely different from high school to college.
Absolutely. And just, being an early enrollee and then you have that happen, like you might have should have just stayed in high school. Like when you really look at it.
Yeah, it was not a great start to your collegiate career for sure, without a doubt, because the cards are already stacked against you, and now they're really stacked against you.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to another question, kind of about quarterback. I mean, about the offense. So obviously, looking at Josh Heupel's offense, everyone's expecting high-powered, high-scoring. This great. And you want to look. We talked about this. We're like, I mean, it looks like the talent is on this roster as far as offensively goes. But at the same time, they haven't done it. I mean, which probably a product of their environment last year, the way that offense was ran. We know Josh Heupel can I guess call. We know he can call the offense. He's done it at UCF against better opponents sometimes against worse. But does Tennessee have the firepower to follow up with it?
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be like a flip of the switch. Tennessee's going to go from scoring whatever it was last year, 21 points a game, it was bad, to 35 points a game.
Right.
But I certainly do think Tennessee's offense is going to be better because it's hard to be worse, if I'm being completely frank. And I agree with what you say, Caleb. A lot of that had to do with the philosophy and how Jeremy Pruitt was not calling offensive plays.
Right.
But Jeremy Pruitt's your head football coach, and what he says he wants is what you've got to essentially do in terms of how you're going to go about calling a game. And so I think that played a big role in it. So I think Tennessee's offense is going to be better. I mean, you've got ample wide receivers now. I feel like the coaching staff really is encouraged. And I asked Josh Heupel the other day, or really yesterday, about are you more encouraged by the wide receiver position, coming into spring compared to where you were? Because you've got guys like Jimmy Callaway who have stepped up. You have Velus, and you have Jalen Hyatt, who you feel good about. I think Cedric Tillman's had a good run. I think Anderson Kobe's another guy that's stepping up. You've got all these wide receivers that you feel really, really good about, that are athletic and can make things happen. Jabari Small is a guy that no one can shut up about how he's adapting to the coaching into this offense. Of course, Tyon Evans has been beat up a little bit as well. And then you have options on the offensive line too, even veterans that have played a lot of football that are, kind of coming back right now, along with Cade Mays. And so I think this offense is going to be better for sure in 2021. I don't think it'll be a finished project, but when you compare it to the defense, you've got some athletes, you've got some experience, and you've got a lot of good coaching, to whereas I think it'll click a little bit faster than what we're going to see defensively this time next year. But good thing about football nowadays, I mean, defense is just, make a big stop at a big time, create some turnovers, and kind of help your offense out, and you'll be okay.
So who are some guys that maybe look the part? Like, if you remember Morvin Joseph, his picture in high school, he looks like a D1 athlete. Caleb used to be a coach at South Dole. My dad is currently a coach at South Dole. And, we used to see Elijah Young, who's now a running back at Missouri. And you're like, okay, that dude looks like a D1 athlete. Like who are some guys at practice that maybe just look the part?
Yeah, I'll mention a couple of guys I've probably already mentioned already. I talked about Dane Davis. Man, 6'7", 335. He looks like an SEC offensive lineman for sure. I think Bryson Eason, he has put on a lot of muscle. He's put on a lot of good weight. He is thick now, and so I think he is a guy that looks the part. Morvin Joseph's the guy you've already mentioned. I think he's gotten stronger in the year that he's been here on campus. Roman Harrison, who is not in pads right now, is not out there working, at least when we're out there. He is, it looks like an SEC linebacker, and hopefully you think that he can start adapting and playing like an SEC linebacker, because Tennessee will need some linebackers come spring. Guys like that. Hendon Hooker, he's huge. He's every bit of 6'4". He's got, thick legs, and, he's got just an athlete's body, stuff like that. Trying to think of a couple more.
What's the Byron Young situation? I feel like he first started drawing attention because is he that body type, or is it just his play that's grabbed put him in the light?
Yeah, I would say it's more of his play. I haven't been right up next to him. I remember one of the first practices I went, I even made a note of it. I was like, Byron Young looks so small, but he's quick. He's athletic. He's got bend. Not only are the defensive coaches talking about him, but the offensive linemen, the offensive coaches are talking about him. And so Byron Young has been kind of a player of the spring, if you want to give out a guy if you want to give out an award like that. So I haven't been up close right next to him to say he looks the part, but from everything I've heard and from the little I saw at that practice on a couple Saturdays ago, he's a guy that everyone is talking about for sure.
I feel like Elijah Simmons probably, he makes a lot of people look small.
Elijah Simmons, another guy that everyone keeps talking about. Josh Heupel talked about him yesterday. You had the Mays brothers and Jerome Carvin talking about how he is the one that's the toughest to block so far in the spring. And, Elijah Simmons, a guy that's gotten a little run under the Jeremy Pruitt regime. He's played a little bit, but never a whole lot. He's always had a work in progress of trying to get his body the way he wants it to be. But super athletic, super strong, and apparently having a really nice spring. And so just another defensive lineman. Man, that whole defensive line group, I feel like that entire group that was here in 2018 is still here. There's so many options for him, and Elijah Simmons is going to be another one.
There's so much that last year was just a weird year, right? With Jeremy Pruitt, like no one expected the culture shift that happened. It was just such a.
I thought you were about to go into the McDonald's bags. I was
we can get into
no
that.
one was expecting that.
But I mean, I think everyone felt. I don't remember seeing any red flags about the way the program was operating. I think everyone felt good about it from a culture standpoint. I don't think people would have guessed that turn.
Yeah, the players love Jeremy Pruitt, love playing for him. He was a player's coach. Personally, for me, and it might not be the same for you guys, and that's completely fine, but, the way he handled certain situations, I didn't really like. The way he handled Bryce Thompson's situation a couple years ago, I didn't really like. It felt uneasy. The way he handled some other players' situations about letting them come back and practice before maybe some legal terms played out, it didn't really bode well with me. But nonetheless, I mean, I like Jeremy Pruitt. Honestly, I never had an issue with him. I think that he's a smart football coach. I think that it was a little bit much for him in terms of being a head coach in the SEC and trying to stick to the things that has brought him success in the past and not realizing kind of how the game has changed a little bit. And so I think that kind of got him in trouble with some. But in terms of the recruiting violations and everything that ultimately got him out, because, I mean, without that, I mean, he was still going to be the coach here. 3-7 is unacceptable, but he was still going to be the coach here for year 4. It would just kind of snowball from there. It's like the investigation found one thing, found another, and then just kept digging. And only at Tennessee, right? Only at Tennessee would you have an administration just completely go, beside itself to try to find this out, and then ultimately not being able to turn back. And so just a whole weird situation. But in terms of culture and everything, we're talking with the players, the staff, the support staff. No, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything. Everyone really enjoyed Jeremy Pruitt. Everyone really enjoyed how he came to bat for his players and how he set up his program. It just obviously didn't work out. I also think that Pruitt overvalued some of his coaches in terms of recruiting. There were some coaches on his staff that were not the best at coaching their certain position, but were elevated to that spot simply to, be a recruiter. And you can't, I mean, recruiting is very important. We all know that, but you got to be able to develop these guys in terms of being football players.
Well, I'm sorry. That was kind of my question was going to be like, how is because the culture on social media, which is easy to kind of paint that picture from the inside of Tennessee, the culture right now looks great. And I mean, you guys know it. You've been a part of football programs where if it's not happening in the locker room, there's no chance it happens on the field. And I think a lot of people, myself included, would have guessed a lot of the downfall of last year was like something had to be going on in the locker room as far as how the losses were tumbling. Particularly starting with Kentucky. That just looked like you fell apart because you weren't mentally tough kind of deal. So culture's hopefully strong then if, looks like, from your view. So is the culture seem good right now? I mean, it looks like they all enjoy Heupel and his staff and what they're bringing to the table.
I think this is the first wave. It's something new. It's something exciting, especially for some of these offensive guys. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I would say everything that I've seen on social media looks great. Everything I've witnessed with my 2 eyes at practice, everything, there haven't been any red flags or anything. But it's interesting. I was chatting with VFL Ramon Foster, of course, Tennessee, Pittsburgh Steelers, now radio host in Nashville. And I asked him, I said, hey, how long does it take to establish culture, in a college football program? And he said, it takes a long time. These freshmen and sophomores have to turn into be juniors and seniors. So it's not one semester. It's not a year, according to Ramon Foster, but it's going to take a little while. And so, that's okay. And so I don't know if we're going to have the answer to this until, a couple of years down the road, but quotes from Bayless Jones Jr. saying that he's never had a coach he can just be as real with and, conversate with and just connect with like Josh Heupel. I think the quarterbacks love Josh Heupel because he was a quarterback. He's developed quarterbacks. He's been really good at it too. I think Glenn Ellerby's a guy that's, had absolutely no, prowess in terms of coming in saying, oh, they hired Glenn Ellerby. Who's that guy? But just listening to him teach and instruct the offensive linemen and hearing what they are saying about him early on, it's all been good signs. Cody Burns, the guy that was in the SEC not too long ago, can connect. Jerry Mack is a guy that brings experience from so many different realms in terms of being a head coach, calling plays in a different system, now being a running backs coach in this system, wanting to be here. I think the staff that he assembled has been really, really good. I think that he's got a lot of good coaches to help establish that culture. But I don't know if we'll have an answer to that until a couple of years down the road. But I think everything's looking good right now in terms of just, good vibes, whatever you want to call it, in the locker room and with the team for sure.
Yeah, and you were mentioning how Jeremy Pruitt probably overvalued some of those recruiters. I think a guy that was kind of underrated that, the defensive line was never the same once he left. And that was a guy like Tracy Rocker, who was in Knoxville this past weekend watching his son pitch. He wasn't that huge recruiter that you read about, but, he seemed to get the most out of his guys. And so I think it is important to have a good mix of recruiters and, teachers and stuff like that. So I'm glad Tennessee kind of has – it seems like a good mix up to this point. So I do want to ask you about recruiting. You write for Rivals. You talk with some of these recruits. Who's your biggest recruit that Tennessee probably needs to land in this class to really kind of get it rolling in the right direction?
Well, yeah, they need they need to land. They need to work on in-state, and that's no surprise. And you've already missed out on a couple of in-state players. Of course, the Way twins and Keaton and Destin elected to go to Kentucky. They made that announcement on Friday. If you would ask me this last week or really 2 weeks ago, I would say you got to start with the Way twins and work yourself out because I think it's that important to kind of get the ball rolling with in-state kids. And so you missed out on a couple of in-state kids, and the signing day is not for a long time, so things can change. But Dallin Hayden's a guy running back. He's a Vol legacy, between Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Tennessee. I think he would be a nice little get. Cameron Miller is also a guy out there from Memphis. I think would be a good get. Gio Davis is an underrated defensive line prospect that Tennessee really, really likes from South Pittsburgh. I think you're in good position there. Of course, Tennessee already got Elijah Herring on Thursday, and then Vincent Sneed on Friday. So going a long time without some commits, and then you turn around and get two in the span of 18 hours or so. So, there's still a lot of talent here in states at a lot of positions. Of course, Isaiah Horton, is another guy from the mid-states, and you've already lost a little bit from a couple guys who have liked to go to Georgia and Florida and elsewhere. But nonetheless, keep working in-state because Caden Pope's another guy. This in-state class is really, really good, and they all play together. They all talk together. They play 7-on-7s together. They're in group messages together. So if you work in-states and get a couple of these guys, then I think that will really, really help. But Dallin Hayden's a guy that is one of the leaders of that bunch, and so he's already been here to Tennessee tons of times. He's going to wait and do an official visit with Tennessee during the season so we can see a game. But I think he signed up to go to Ohio State and Notre Dame already this summer when things open back up. But he would be a big get, in my opinion, for Tennessee to kind of get this. I don't want to say rolling because Tennessee will have more commits by the time he decides to commit wherever he goes. But to really help this class, get along. I don't know if this is going to be I don't think, at least right now, that this will be a top 15 class. I think that the coaching staff just got off to too slow of a start. And
oh no. I think so. That's unfortunate. Maybe we'll get him back in just a second.
Looks like we lost Caleb too. Find out. All right. Well, that was Eric Cain. Really, really good stuff having him on, talking about Tennessee a little bit in spring practice. Oh, we're back.
Man, we got him back. Yep.
Awesome.
Quick technical issues, but we're back.
Cool.
Apologies.
Hey, nonetheless, I'll wrap that up real quick. It's just
we actually just kicked you off. We were done.
Dude, shut up, man. Like that. I got it.
Landon, I think that might have been Landon's fault. I got kicked out of it too, so I think
I didn't press any button. So.
I think we can just blame this on Landon and call it a day.
That's true. You should.
But we do have a question for you, Eric. I hate that you got cut off during that
okay.
recruiting, your who we can get. But we had one from Chris here. He said, so with what you've seen, this is back talking about spring practice, and it doesn't have to be just go with what you've seen, but what you know about 2021, this schedule. You had to, we're making predictions today. Your expectation for this year. I know that's a tough thing because you haven't even seen all the guys on campus yet, but prediction for 2021, a range, I guess.
Yeah, so that's always a fun topic to have. Someone asked me for my bowl prediction a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and bold, getting out there, going out on a limb. I said 8 wins because, and I don't think that's what's going to happen. Don't hear me wrong, but I do think that there's a path to get there. This schedule is so easy, This non-conference schedule, Pittsburgh's going to be a challenge, but this non-conference schedule is super easy. And so I think Tennessee 6 wins should be the floor, in my opinion, for this team. And I think 6 wins is very, very attainable because I think you can win all 4 of your non-conference games. I think you can definitely beat South Carolina. I think that you can beat Vanderbilt. That's 6 wins right there. You mean you can't beat Kentucky on top of that? You can't beat potentially a Missouri, who I think's improved. Ole Miss is going to be tough. Bottom line, I think 6 wins should be the floor, in my opinion, and because the schedule really is so easy. So we'll have to see, and then obviously you want to build on that in terms of year 2 and year 3.
What would you say is probably the biggest game next season? Talking about, I like how you said that it's an easy schedule. You weren't sugarcoating it because a lot of people are like, yeah, there's some winnable games on this schedule. No, it's easy. you should win.
Yeah, Butch Jones. I believe Butch Jones set up this schedule. One of the years, or really right before he got ousted here in Knoxville, and so he wanted to make it easy and set himself up for some future success. And I get it. In terms of what I think might be the biggest game on the schedule, I do think that it would be that Ole Miss game. It's going to be a home game. I think it's going to be a tremendous challenge. And I think it's a game that's, you're not going to be favored in, most likely, because we all know what Ole Miss has in terms of coaching and on that offense and whatnot. But if you can keep up with them, and if your defense can make a big stop or a turnover here and there, because Ole Miss will turn the football over, I think that's going to be a good sign. I think Ole Miss will be a huge game for Tennessee if they're able to win that one. And then I think Missouri, it's going to be on the road, but Missouri continues to get better and better. We all saw kind of the coming out party of Conor Pavaloni a little bit when he came in and took over that game in the second quarter against Tennessee last year. I think Missouri is very well coached. I don't think anybody really thought that they would be this well coached by Drinkwitz at this point. So I would say those 2 games, because I think Tennessee needs to win one of those 2 games in order to really feel good about this year and potentially, tack on another win and maybe make it 7 wins. We'll see.
I don't think 6. Yeah, 6 should be your floor. I agree with that. Yeah. Hopefully Tennessee's playing in a bowl game this year, which, hey, they should have been playing in a bowl game this past year. Okay. You should have just taken the McDonald's bags with you and gone to Memphis and had fun, but so we can keep some hope alive. But I think get back to a bowl game and you're at least feeling good about the future.
Yeah. And again, I know everybody hates hearing this, and there's been no statistical evidence to back this up, but when you're playing with a young team and they're playing with a new coaching staff and all this type of stuff, those practices you get with the team, those 15 or whatever it is, it can't hurt you. It really can't hurt you. And so say at the end of the season, Tennessee's having quarterback issues again, which you hope not's the case, but we'll have to see. What if Caden Salter's your starting quarterback the last 2 games of the year like Harrison Bailey was this past year? Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me those 15 extra practices wouldn't help Caden Salter going into the next year? I think it would. And so it's important to be back in the bowl game, hopefully with a 6-win, schedule at least. 3-7 go to a bowl game would have been a little embarrassing last year. But nonetheless, we'll have to see. I try to call things like I see it. I try never to sugarcoat anything, and I think the schedule is so easy. And that doesn't mean that I think Tennessee's a good football team right now, but I think Tennessee should have some wins on the schedule for sure.
Who do you think is the most important player? Not a quarterback, because that's probably an easy answer. But who do you think the most important player for Tennessee is this season?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm glad you said not a quarterback, because you got to fix quarterback.
That's the easy one.
Yeah. Give me Tyler Barron.
Ooh.
Tennessee had no pass rush whatsoever last year, and the secondary struggled, the defense overall struggled, and a lot of the reason is because you had no pressure up front. Quarterbacks could sit back there and literally do whatever they wanted to back there because Tennessee was getting no pressure on the quarterback. And I think if you can pressure the quarterback, that's going to help out so much in all areas of your defense. And so Tyler Barron kind of came on, played a lot as a freshman, took over a starting spot when some guys got kicked off the team last year. Can you take a new step? And I think Tennessee's defense is going to be very versatile with him and with guys like Byron Young. And so you're going to see those guys put in position to make some plays.
That's interesting to me because, we've heard so much about Byron Young, and not saying we haven't heard anything from Tyler Barron, but I guess whoever is, that guy producing on the edge is definitely the guy. Because you had two guys last year who, started off the season pretty hot, and Kevon Bennett and DeAndre Johnson, and neither one of those guys are here anymore. So, you're going to need a lot of production off the edge. Absolutely.
And, again, to help out with, what you don't have at linebacker as well. An experienced defensive group who's going to be coached very, very well. You get some pressure from that outside linebacker and you play, 5 defensive backs. I think that whoever's playing linebacker, whether it's Jeremy Banks, Roman Harrison, if you get somebody from the transfer portal, which I think Tennessee's going to be trying to do that, it's going to kind of help regardless if you have some pressure coming off the edge to help you out.
Right. And I'm hoping this, you mentioned it earlier too, this Tennessee defense doesn't need to be, they don't need to be tough. They just need to be able to make plays. And that pass rush obviously would add that into it. Just make big plays when it matters. Hopefully the offense is good enough that the defense can just be that. That's your hope. Especially with the talent left on this roster, specifically at linebacker. So hopefully Tennessee gets that out of them.
Yeah, and I think I keep going back, and everybody saw this, and I'll be quick, but like Nick Saban was talking with the High School Football Coaches Association of Louisiana or whatever a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, I had to change what I was doing because that's just not how football was playing anymore." When Lane came, we said, "Hey, we got to keep up with him, or we're going to get left behind." And seeing a coach like Nick Saban adapt and change his ways and see the success that's come from that. If he can change, why can't you change? Who are you? And so I just look at that the way the defense is nowadays. Obviously, I'm a defensive guy. I love good defense, but if you can cause turnovers, create negative plays, and come up with some big time plays and big time situations to help with your offense, that's just kind of what football is nowadays. And Tennessee certainly has some athletes on the offensive end that can go out and get it. And so I think it'll be interesting. Not a finished product this year without a doubt, but I think it will be a lot more entertaining and a little bit better of a product for Tennessee football in 2021.
Yeah, you mentioned the linebackers. Looking at that, did you kind of look at and see if you had any NCAA eligibility left when they're scrounging looking for somebody else?
Lane, I got 1 year, brother. I got 1 year on the table.
Is that 2 years with COVID?
Oh, that is there you go. Tennessee does not want that. Let me tell you, Tennessee's hurting a linebacker right now. They'd be hurting bad if I was there, trust me.
Oh, that's awesome. Eric, it was great to have you on. Good to see you, man. We'll have to do this again, later on in the season probably. We'll have to get you on and get your insight. I know you're super busy, so we appreciate the time. And, if you ever need anybody, I know you have a ton of people with Locked On Vols. You do it all. You do Locked On Vols, you do WNML, you do Rivals, you do trivia at Highwire. We need to catch that, Caleb.
You're doing trivia now.
So Wednesday nights, 7:00 at Highwire, man. Come see me.
Did you get that from the Rivalry Thursday? You do trivia on that, right?
I did. I have in the past. It's unrelated, okay. But
I forgot about that.
I'm experienced in trivia because of Rivalry Thursday. No, guys, for sure. We'll get you on the podcast, and I'm going to get you both on the podcast for sure. It's just been swamped with spring football practice right now, but absolutely. And for those of you guys that want outside of this awesome podcast, if you want to give Locked On Vols a listen, I encourage you to do so. You can check it out on pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts each and every weekday. So appreciate it.
And I also meant to tell you too. I saw Ramon Foster coming after you on Twitter the other day. I don't know the exact beef. I missed that segment with him, but I got your back. I'm with you.
Here, he was in the wrong. That's all we need.
Not, also, I need to mention not physically. If it goes beyond Twitter, you that's your own battle. But I will defend you on Twitter. So.
Hey, thank goodness he was the slowest man in the NFL per matting. So
yeah.
I'm good there.
Thanks, Eric. We appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That was Eric Cain again of WNML Locked On Vols. Follow him on Twitter _Cainer. Check him out, like I mentioned, on Locked On Vols and trivia at Highwire. I'm a big Highwire fan, big trivia guy. Not great at trivia, but I play it. And you can't win if you don't play. So I'm headed in the right direction.
That's true. Yeah, you got to play. Just like we go to San Otago sometimes. They play Singo. I don't know, I don't really know the rules of Singo.
I think there's a lot of luck involved with Singo.
Oh, it's just the board. Like you don't really have to pay attention. It's just the board.
Well, you have to know the songs, but yes, the board's important.
Gotcha.
Board, just like normal bingo, board's important. Okay. We didn't. I don't think we've been giving our predictions lately. So I'm going to ask you because Scott Hester mentioned it here in the chat. He thinks Tennessee's going 7-5. Last thing before we get out of football, I want to know You can go bold, you can go floor, you can go middle of the road. What's your prediction for Tennessee?
I think if they are able to go to a bowl, we don't have a postseason bowl ban, I think we go to a bowl. I think we go 6-6. I would love to say we win 8 games, but until I see something on the field that gives me that reasoning behind 8 wins, I'm going to go kind of a safe pick, just like Hendon Hooker was a safe pick at at quarterback. I'm going to go safe pick and just say 6-6.
The schedule definitely helps you kind of talk yourself into 7 or 8 wins, though. That's the thing. That the schedule gives you that.
Oh, when the season gets here, I'm going 8 wins. There's no doubt about it.
I've watched all 3 episodes of The Juice, so I'm in 9-10 win territory.
Oh, you're juiced up.
I'm very juiced up.
Hey, be careful. Don't be juicing the bases with Evan Russell coming to bat at Vandy.
No. Yeah. Basketball roster. Let's jump into some basketball.
Yeah. I do want to say thanks for Eric to come on.
Yeah.
I know he's super busy all the time, so it was awesome to catch back up with former teammate and a guy that has kind of went down. To see him be like an assistant guy covering Carson Newman sports to where he is now, that's super awesome to see. So. Yeah,
he's a great follow. He does a great job covering Tennessee athletics, so
absolutely
definitely make sure you follow him. Follow him on Twitter, and then he mentioned Locked On Vols on everywhere you listen to the podcast. So make sure you check that out. Always appreciate Cainer coming on. He's officially he's a part of the show now. I don't know if he probably doesn't want to be, but
he's a frequent flyer.
So congrats. Print the shirts.
You got the VIP card.
Exactly. So let's talk basketball. John Fulkerson is just continuing to cement his name in Tennessee folklore. First, he's I'm back with the Jordan cloud behind him. Second, he's throwing the first pitch out. Then he's with the Legends of Lindsey Nelson. Then today, he's giving out popcorn to the Legends of Lindsey Nelson. He saw that they were a little maybe drunk, maybe a little hungover, hadn't quite gotten the hair of the dog yet. And he goes, I need to sober these kids up. We need a rally. He got the rally corn. He tried. He did his best.
I like it. Yeah.
He did his best.
Alcohol. Yeah, I like it.
Did his best. And big John Fulkerson guy. Well, listen, because I know someone's gonna text me later and say, hey, Caleb, you're an idiot for believing in John Fulkerson. I know who that person is. I'm just not going to mention it. It's not that I believe in John Fulkerson as a basketball player. I believe in John Fulkerson as a mother effing Tennessee Volunteer.
Absolutely. That's all you can think of him as. And the fact that he's slowly becoming the mascot of Tennessee baseball is awesome. I love it. I mean, that first pitch was terrible, but man, I had a great time watching it. And
I'd be more concerned if he threw a good first pitch.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want Tony Vitello to steal him away.
There's only one There's only one good first pitch I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's George W. Bush in Yankee Stadium. That's it. That's the only good first. Name another one. Name another good first pitch. The only ones you can remember are the bad ones.
It definitely wasn't 50 Cent.
In the dugout?
Yeah.
50 Cent was in the dugout. Was that
yeah, I think so. I thought Josh Heupel was going to throw a heater. I thought he was going to bring it.
He threw it out Saturday night.
Yeah, it's a little low. But he said it was an 0-2 pitch, so he didn't want to give him anything to hit with, an 0-2 pitch.
Yeah. It's a good point. It's a great point.
Dirt. Yeah, but Folky's back, and that video, man. When it first started, I was like, "Oh crap, he's gone."
Oh no! On the music, I was like, "That's a boy from the Tri-Cities, and he's staying."
I know. Home. I mean, but there had to be that little Tennessee fan in you that was like, he can't get too riled up.
This is not anything against John Fulkerson, but it goes back into what I said a minute ago. It's not that I believe in him as a basketball player. It's I believe in him as a Tennessee Volunteer. He's not the best basketball player, but he's one of the best Tennessee Volunteers of all time.
Mm-hmm. I had to fast forward all the way through to see where he was going, and then I had to watch it. I had to know.
Oh, so you probably weren't as emotional as me. I was bawling. John Fulkerson's back.
I mean, it was happy tears for sure.
I need to send you this video. You're not as emotional as me, so like it would be fun. Like if it was you, and you're like, "Hey Caleb, you need to watch this video of this kid crying." So send it to me, get my live reaction. I would cry in front of all these people, and it would be embarrassing. But you're not as emotional as me, so I'll just send it to you later.
Yeah,
we wouldn't get the same reaction.
I don't cry a lot.
I'm surprised Tennessee's never made me cry. Like, football.
There's times where I
got a sadness.
Right, I sulk a lot, but I don't cry.
Right, I think I've cried happy tears. I did. BYU. It was more anger. I'm surprised I didn't cry, but I just sat in the stands for a long time after that game.
Oh,
that was tough.
I was thinking about that Florida game. Like I wanted to cry during that Florida game.
2016.
The good one. Yeah, the good one.
The good one. I did almost cry. Again, happy tears. I think I might have cried after the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
I think I might have. That was that was for multiple reasons. One, because I was going to A&M the next week. Originally thought I'd wasted all this money. So then it was like a relief, like, oh my God, we're 5-0. Yeah, so I don't know. Tennessee makes me emotional.
I mean, I can't imagine how emotional I would have been if like Evan Russell's grand slam would have been today and we had beat them in a series. I probably would have been that emotional.
You would have peed your pants a little?
Probably, yeah.
That's awesome. That's
I probably did. I was just like
little pee.
I was kind of hot, so I just thought it was sweat, maybe.
Right. So this basketball roster, though, I mean, we're feeling. When did all that happen? I guess we didn't get to talk about everything, right?
So we did. We got to Jonas Adu.
Yeah, who did officially sign? Correct.
Correct.
He's in.
All three of them is signed. So Quentin DeBunji is signed, Jonas Adu, and then Brandon Hundley Hatfield signed, sealed, delivered, reclassified. I mean, we're big.
Yeah.
We went from having no size to a lot of size.
Tennessee's not going to lack size, and I'm still, I'm in the camp of the same thing we talked about with Jonas Adu. Rick Barnes has got to play the big men before I believe it. I'm not just going to say right now, Tennessee, the only thing they've gained on this roster is, in my eyes, John Fulkerson and Justin Powell.
Yeah, that's true. Because, I mean, Brandon Hundley Hatfield, yeah, it's a 5-star, but he technically should be a junior in high school. So, when he's here his freshman year, he probably isn't what could be a good thing for Tennessee is he's probably not a one and done because he probably reclassified so he could have a year of college basketball and not have to make that jump to the NBA.
Right. And yeah, I don't know, but until Rick Barnes plays them, obviously it's gonna be great to have on the roster. They're gonna be really talented, but yeah, I'm not gonna believe it till I see it. I'm sorry, I'm not. I think he's done a great job of going out and getting them, but the last two big men that he's gotten that should have been pretty good, both left after their freshman year after not playing a single minute for Tennessee.
It's true.
And it's not. I don't. Again, I like Rick Barnes as a coach. I'm with everyone that was tweeting after Hundley Hatfield committed. Everyone's like, "Oh, you wanted to fire this guy?" I'm in the same camp as them, but I'm also like, he's got to play them his freshman year before I believe it. So,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely pieces of this roster. I think it, and I might be just saying this because it's the upcoming season isn't here yet, but it seems to fit a lot better you went and addressed needs. Whereas,
No, for sure.
I feel like last year you got like a ton of really good players with, Springer and Keon Johnson, but like, were they guys that you like had to get? Were they guys that you like needed to take your roster to the next level?
Right. I think both of them could. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. I think you got, maybe it was one of those situations you maybe got the best talent available. It's hard to say without really kind of going back and fully evaluating that class. But yeah, we'll see. I thought I'm very, very happy, obviously, to have to get the class that Tennessee got and to keep John Fulkerson for another year. I think that's gonna be big with those young guys. I think it can help John Fulkerson a lot. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm obviously excited, but I'm pumping the brakes a little bit in terms of let's see what happens. I was shocked. I don't know, but because I guess Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer didn't even starting until several games into the season.
Yeah, it was almost SEC play is when they both started.
Yeah, we'll see as far as this roster goes. I do think. I mean, I've got to think from Rick Barnes' perspective, there's not a single player on this roster that has a starting spot right now, right?
Maybe John Fulkerson because the lack of experience that you have. Maybe him. Maybe Josiah Jordan James is up there too. But even then, if you get some guys like Justin Powell, Meshack, Debunji that come in here and produce, maybe I don't know. I think Josiah Jordan James is a starter. I'll say that.
That's fair.
I think those two are probably like maybe 98%. If it's not 100, it might be 98. It feels like 98. But I mean, guys like I told you before we got these big guys, though, like if Tennessee doesn't sign a big man, I'm out. Like I'm not doing it.
Which is funny that you say that because you definitely would not have been out. That's so.
It's definitely not true at all. Definitely would have been reeled back in. But I was gonna say it for the time being. But yeah, you're able to get a guy like Jonas Adu. You're able to use that pipeline with the Bobby Mays Elite. Shout out Bobby Mays.
Shout out.
And then you get Brandon Hunley Hatfield, and a 5-star. He was the number 6 player in the country, but when he reclassified, now he's at the number 21 player in the country. Guess when you sign with Tennessee, your ranking goes down. But hey, whatever, we'll take it.
Yeah, that's a pretty big drop just to reclassify. I don't know. I guess maybe they haven't seen enough film of him, according to them. I do have a question regarding last year's basketball team, so we'll answer it and then we're gonna get past it. But it's from UK Reactions. He said, "What happened in your all's opinion to Oregon versus Oregon State? Was it more good Oregon State, bad Tennessee? He was only able to catch the second half." I think it was definitely a mix of both. I think Tennessee was on their downward trend at that point, not playing their best basketball. Oregon State was playing their best basketball. Tennessee didn't. You didn't have John Fulkerson, which maybe probably attributed a little bit to not playing your best basketball at that point because he was playing better. Tennessee didn't have a guy that would go to the rim with no convictions. Oregon State was just playing good. Like I think that's another thing too. We talked about it with baseball. Like it can't just be Tennessee didn't play good. Vanderbilt's a good team that played good. Oregon State played good. Like that's just kind of the way it is sometimes.
Yeah, you ran into one of the hottest teams in the tournament in Oregon State, who
would have been if UCLA didn't go on a tear.
Correct. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, UCLA was definitely that team. Oregon State no one expected to be there.
Yeah, but Oregon State would have easily been the hottest team had UCLA not been
on
the most magical run of all time.
Yeah, because Oregon State would not have been in the tournament if they didn't win the Pac-12 championship,
right?
And they did, or the Pac-10. Yeah. I would say Pac-12. That's a long time ago.
Pac-12.
It is
Pac-12. Pac-10. Yeah,
Pac-10. Okay.
You threw me off. Woo, you got me.
Sorry, man. It's been one of those weekends.
Pac-10 though is when NCAA football was the best. So
it's true. But yeah, like they won that tournament and they're just hot. And Tennessee wasn't a team that if you were hitting threes, they probably weren't going to beat you. And they come out hitting threes like they never have before. And it was a combination of things. Tennessee wasn't playing their best basketball when they ran into a team that could shoot the 3 ball. Things didn't work out very well, and that's what happened.
Right. Absolutely. Do you have anything else for this basketball roster?
I mean, you have the number 2 recruiting class coming in, so that's something to really hang your hat on. Number 1 in the SEC, so take that, Kentucky. Anytime we beat Kentucky, I just love it and everything. That's pretty much with every SEC team, though. I just love being on top.
You mentioned how you think Vanderbilt is the Alabama of football.
Mm-hmm.
And with this Kentucky fan asking a question, it makes me think, as far as we talk about how unlucky Tennessee is in sports, is there another team that their rival is the best at every sport, or at their sport? So Tennessee's rival in football, their historic rival in football is Alabama. Their historic rival in basketball is Kentucky. Their historic rival, this isn't so much baseball, it's just like your in-state rival naturally is Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at the landscape of the SEC, LSU maybe gives Vanderbilt a run as far as like being the most historical baseball program in the SEC, but Vanderbilt's definitely either 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's definitely Florida or Vanderbilt as their rival in the SEC, and those two are 2 of the best programs in college baseball history. So yeah, it feels like Tennessee just they want to beat the best, I guess.
Yeah, that's a stretch
but it sucks. It sucks.
I mean, I don't know if there's another program, a full athletic program that has that kind of I don't know, competition in every single sport like that, where it's like you're the person the team that is on your schedule there that is naturally your rival, and what's funny too is, I mean, the Kentucky rivalry I think is kind of drawn up like that, because Kentucky's always been the best, where we just had a comment, Alabama's not the enemy of Tennessee. No, I mean, Alabama and Tennessee, before Tennessee was shit the last 10 years, was literally the most historic rivalry in college football. And it's because historically both those programs were very, very good. 2 of the best football coaches of all time in it. So yeah, the last 10 years, if you're going to just look at that, it's completely changed the landscape of the rivalry. But historically speaking, no, that they are. And, but yeah, it's just funny to kind of think about it like that. Like when you said Vanderbilt's the Alabama of college baseball, it made me laugh because I was like, Alabama, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Thank God Tennessee's usually been the best at women's basketball, for the longest time. Thanks. Shout out Pat Summit.
Yeah, now our big and what the biggest rival with that has been Geno and UConn.
Well, that's a rivalry bred out of success. Like nothing,
right?
Correct. Kind of like the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry of as far as historical goes.
Right.
That one was definitely bred out of success. But I mean, if you look at what Tennessee's what Pat Summit did, look at all the SEC programs that have had success with South Carolina. Is it Mississippi State that was really, really good a couple years ago?
Yeah.
In women's basketball. LSU's had some good years. So definitely success has bred up those rivalries and made them a lot of fun. But that one's definitely out of success. Can we talk about the Lady Vols? Yeah, Lady Vols softball, I assume, is what you're talking about. They just finished up a big win tonight. Did they not? Or is it over yet? I don't know. But if you're talking Lady Vols basketball, I would love to. But, I'll just be honest with you. We'll talk about it when big things happen. But I'm pretty ignorant to it. But no fear, we have a volunteer roadshow. We have Alexis Hornbuckle has a show covering the Lady Vols. So you need to follow along so you don't miss that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is – I hate that you brought that up because that kind of sucks with the the best – our rivals in each sport are kind of the best at what they do. So that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. So the Lady Vols played South Carolina tonight. I'm trying to see if I think the game's over. I believe they won. I believe I saw it during the show that they won, but I can't find the final. But yeah, I think they got a big win over South Carolina tonight. Sorry. I just totally interrupted you.
No, you're good. Yeah, that's kind of depressing. So thanks for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Hey, that's all I'm here to do. I'm here to bring you down. It's my job.
We got anything else? I'm excited for basketball season. I'll say that.
Yes.
I think the excitement is there, and it's not like we're excited for football season, but maybe because it's new and we didn't have one last year, so maybe that's part of it.
Right.
But when it comes to like being a really good, I don't think anybody really expects Tennessee to be a really good football team. I think they expect Tennessee to have a really good basketball team next year.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Also, yeah, Lady Vols won 11-0 to South Carolina tonight
Ooh,
after losing
stunk
2-3. So, yeah, took care of business.
Like it.
Took care of business. And that one was on the road, too. So, they'll play this series finale tomorrow night.
All right. Well, any more questions?
I don't think I've had any more. Sven, is that how you say your name? He said it was Mississippi State that was good basketball lately. Yeah, no, we're pumped about baseball, though. Mentioned that. That's another thing, too, I want to talk about, how we were like people calling them bandwagon fans. This would have been the same thing last year. You could argue that last year's baseball team might have been better because you have one of the best pitchers in the MLB draft last year in Garrett Crochet that didn't get to play at all for Tennessee.
Yeah. And you have your ace this year that didn't get to play for Tennessee.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And Jackson Leith. So, you're talking about competing with Vanderbilt. What if they didn't have Rocker or Lauder? That's a completely different team.
Right. For sure.
So,
yep.
Stuck on that.
We got one more question here. Most memorable Tennessee football win in your lives. So we're both fairly young as far as Tennessee football goes, very young. 1995. So we were alive for the national championship. Unless Landon's got a much better memory than I do. Don't remember it.
Yeah, I was 3, so no, yeah. Definitely don't remember that.
I think my first memory of Tennessee football was a touchdown, I believe, against Arkansas. See, this is how bad it is. It was against Arkansas, and James Banks caught one in the back of the end zone. I believe it might maybe in overtime.
Okay.
In the south end zone, in the end zone we sit in. That's my first. I'll take it back. My very, very first memory, and I think we talked about this last year, and I hate this for the grounds crew because I hold it against them. I remember when I was young walking into Neyland Stadium and the grass, it was like the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I walk in and I remember how bright the lights were as a night game, or the sun was starting to set. The lights were so bright. The grass was so green. The orange in the end zones popped, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, I said that too to my dad. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I was like 6 years old. I just cussed him out. Just kidding. But I was like, this is like, to this day, I'm like, nothing's there. I haven't seen Neyland Stadium that pretty in my entire life. It's one of those memories that you remember over and over, and it gets prettier every time. And it's to this day, the prettiest thing I can ever remember seeing.
Yeah. When I'm trying to think of who did this. I think it was Inky Johnson who described it as the Roman Coliseum of college football. I mean, I think I've heard it a billion times, but every time I hear it, I'm just like, you're damn right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've been the ones getting slaughtered lately, but in the Roman Coliseum. One day we'll return, though.
My first memory is probably I was at the 7 overtime game against Arkansas when Jason Witten ended it. And I don't really remember the game, but I remember being there because it was like 2 a.m. I was like,
this is way too late.
8, 7, something like that. So I shouldn't have been up that late, but here we were. And my dad's not going to go home.
And your dad's probably looking back on that like, thank God we didn't have cell phones, or I would have had to take Landon home. He would have been getting calls from your mom like, bring him home now.
Yeah,
we have church tomorrow.
I was probably falling asleep, and he was probably just slapping me to wake me up.
So most memorable win. I kind of went off on a tangent there. I apologize. Is that your most memorable win? That's a good memory. I remember that game.
Yeah. I think my most memorable win, I remember the whole entire game, and this is kind of sad, but Florida is probably just being at the game.
Right.
It's probably because there was that 4 years where I didn't get to go to Tennessee football games because I had games of my own at Carson Newman. So, I didn't get to kind of witness anything like that. But 2016 is probably the most recent great game I remember.
That's a good one. I think that's too what sucks is that's the only reason a lot of people don't like it is because of the way the season ended. But that game was, that's an all-time Tennessee game.
Right.
Mine though is older than that, and I don't remember the whole game. But when I was very, very young at this point. This is the 2004 Florida game. The James Will Hoyt 50-yard field goal to win it after missing the extra point. Big special teams guy. Always have been a big special teams guy. So was a big James Will Hoyt fan. I remember crying in my living room when he missed the extra point because that first off that he lost the game. But I was also everyone's gonna hate him now. I was like, I don't want people to hate him.
Not James.
My mom was so mad. She was like, we have not lost yet. Stop crying. Like, I remember her yelling at me. Like, the game is not over. And I was like, what do you mean the game's not over? Like, that's it. And sure enough, James Will Hoyt gets to be the hero. And so, like, that for me, and like, that is everyone, is out shooting in the yard. You're out shooting basketball in your driveway, 3, 2, 1 countdown. Mm-hmm. I was obviously a kicker. Like I never want to miss the extra point. Never want to do that. But I do want that game-winning drive, 50-yard field goal to win it that no one thinks is going to go in. You want that.
Oh, yeah.
So like that like snowballed into like my dream. Like that's how memorable that game was for me.
And I love that you were crying saying we lost because like now Tennessee never gets that lucky. When you miss an extra point, you lost the game. It's over.
It's over. It is over.
So that's hilarious. That was future Caleb crying.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. Yeah, if we had hit that field goal against Bama, if Daniel Lincoln hadn't put that one into freaking Mount Cody's chest. Twice. Okay, so when Tennessee finally beats Alabama again, how are you guys celebrate? This is actually a good question because I have a standing bet. The next time Tennessee beats Alabama, I'm getting an ass tat. Landon's got his cigar picked out. We will be smoking cigars.
It's right here. It's ready.
Yep, and I'll be getting an ass tat. So hope Hard Knocks stays open late that night.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're in Tuscaloosa when it happens.
Hey, we'll find somebody to do
it. prison tat.
Dirty needles and all. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I've actually never smoked a cigar in my life. So my first one, my cigar virginity will be taken when Tennessee finally beats Alabama.
It's gonna be a good one too. I've told him like you can't smoke one before then now, which he doesn't care to, which is good. So yeah, you gotta wait. Waiting's important.
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions here. That's thanks for all those guys. We appreciate it. Hey, we want every week, every episode, we want to talk about what you want to talk about. Drop them in the chat. We will do our best to hit them. And
yes, especially when baseball season's over, it's going to be a long ways until football season. So we definitely want to get everybody's questions in here and talk to you guys because
absolutely.
If no one listens to the show, what's the point in doing the show? So we want to have you guys involved all the time. So yeah, really appreciate you tuning in.
We're not done yet either. Drop them in. Actually, we want y'all to participate in our most important of the week, which we're getting to right now. But yeah, you just keep talking. Tell us what you saw this week that you want to. That doesn't have to be sports. That's the big thing. It doesn't have to be sports. Mention what you saw. I will go first. This is kind of sports. Legends of Lindsey Nelson. Probably not my last shout out this episode. The mullet luge. It's back. I'm sorry. That's
awesome.
Sexy. That's sexy.
It's awesome.
That's the sexiest thing I've ever seen on a baseball
disgusting, but it's awesome.
I would probably never do it. In my head, I'm like, I would totally do that. But there's in the moment, I don't think I could talk myself into it.
Whenever Russell hit that home run, I would in that moment, hell yeah, I'd do it. Now I'm like, no, there ain't no way I'd ever do it.
So to you guys on the first base line, if there's another grand slam in Lindsey Nelson, you all have to get over to the third base side as fast as possible so you can get Landon to do a mullet luge.
Absolutely. I will do it.
You got to. And the thing, too, that made it great for me is the D1 ticker, D1 Baseball, tweeted fact, college baseball is more fun when Tennessee is good. Yeah, sure. That's a fact. And that's not a bandwagon statement. That's just true.
And sports in general is just better.
100%. 100%.
I think a lot of people have said, college football is better when Tennessee's good.
Right.
It's definitely better for us because we talk about Tennessee sports all the time. So we definitely want to have a good team to talk about. My first one has nothing to do with Tennessee, but hey, Legend Lindsey Nelson, just keep it going, keep it rolling, baby. Keep blowing those balls out of the park. according to Tony Vitello's. So, Last Chance U star KJ Allen is no longer going to USC. He has committed to Mark Adams and the new staff at Texas Tech.
Oh, nice. Okay. I thought he was already at USC, so that's news to me.
I guess he had signed there, but
wasn't there yet.
Wasn't enrolled already.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good for him.
Yeah.
I like KJ Allen a lot, so cheering for him at another school now.
Do you have any more most important?
I thought I did. I need to double check though. It's been a good week, big week. A lot of stuff.
I have one more, and it's from last week, but I didn't get to it until later on. But it was when Alabama and A&M beat Jackson State. So Deion Sanders' team hung 52 on them, and Alabama A&M's quarterback was asked what advice for Deion Sanders, and he said, "It's kill or be killed. Go recruit some more 5 stars." Damn.
Well, that's quite the press conference, I would assume.
I love it.
That's a great quote. That's a phenomenal quote. I do have one more, and I didn't plan this, but this is apparently the most important mullet of the week. Another mullet one. A guy named Chuck Roberts.
Are you trying to tell us something? Are you trying to grow one?
I would love to grow a mullet. I can't grow enough hair to grow a mullet. Like that's how bad the hair situation is over here. Chuck Roberts on Facebook, I guess he's a photographer in I can't remember what area, but he said after photographing 29 different schools this season, this is basketball, he said the votes are in, meet the 2021 all mullet team, and dude, there are some legendary mullets. I'm going to try to get it up here for you because these mullets need to be shown. They are awesome. They are electric. I mean, not like you couldn't ask for any more in a mullet. Like that's it. That's what you want. And I think we did the all teammate team. I think we need a good all mullet team next. Like that's what needs to come next.
All mullet team.
All mullet team would be electric. You would love to see it. I'm trying to get this over to my computer. I've only got the picture on my phone.
I mean, if all of Vanderbilt, they all have the same barber apparently, and he only does one haircut because they all have the same haircut. So I mean, if they get any more flow, they might have a whole team full of mullets.
That's awesome. All right, I'm close to getting this image up, guys. So Landon, you might see it in a minute, but yeah, Landon's gonna. You got any more most important? I have to take it over while.
That's all I got, and I don't think I have a fail either. So I don't think I have one.
I think I've got a fail. It's not the mullet. I can promise you that. The mullet is 100% back. This is, I mean, I guess it's a fail, but like more so definitely, I feel like I'm actually going to give Nick Saban some credit, and I don't like that. But did you see Nick Saban almost get ran over in the Crimson and White game?
No, I didn't. I didn't
get interception.
I didn't get to watch any of that, which I'm kind of glad because
I wouldn't have watched any of it. So
apparently somebody was like, in case you were wondering, Alabama looks really good. And I'm like, oh, great. Here we go.
I mean, I wouldn't have expected anything different. So
yeah, I'm surprised 0%, but I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah, you don't want to hear it or see it. So it's like, it's like if a tree falls in the wood. If I don't watch Alabama football, are they actually good?
It's true.
Can't prove it to me. But yeah, there was an interception. Also, he does this every year. Maybe there's something to it. He wears a suit for the whole game. Is that like some tradition?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but he does it. Dude,
wasn't he in a pink suit?
Yeah, I don't know if it's pinkish. It's definitely got a pink. There's a pink to it, but I don't know. It's a weird situation, dude. Where does this photo go? I'm gonna drive myself. You guys have to. I sent it to your phone, Landon. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I saw it.
Brutus is loving it. He's like, show me the mullet. All right, here we go. It's uploading. Y'all are about to see the greatest mullets ever. My last fail of the week. I thought I had one more. I don't want to share that. That's mean. I'll stay away from that. It's the one I sent you earlier. Just stupid people. I won't do that.
My fail is just the people who are against people being in a stadium. Like, if you don't want to be in it, don't go. Don't be mad that other people want to be in it.
Right. All right, here you go. All mullet team. It's excellent. I mean, those dudes are electric factories.
I want my mullet back.
That
guy at the top right, he has like a perm and a mullet.
That is peak hair. Hair peaked at mullets. There can be nothing more. I love it. Big fan. Guys, appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all talking with us. We always enjoy it. Keep up. Follow us on Twitter at @more_issues. Follow Landon. Follow me, please. I need more followers. I gotta get my followers up big time. But most important, follow More Important Issues along for updates about this week's show. Letting you guys know what's happening there, whether it be on Wednesday or Sunday, just the next show. Make sure you follow along so you know when that's happening. Don't want y'all to miss it. Make sure you check out the other shows on Volunteer Roadshow. You can only do that if you follow Volunteer Roadshow on Twitter and Facebook. So make sure you go and hit that follow button after we get off here.
Absolutely. Guys, go Vols. We're bringing the boat in.